Today I'm joined by Ben Woolliss. He's kindly sat and chose to discuss training and life with me for 20 minutes before training. So welcome, Ben. Thanks for coming along, mate.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having us on, bro.
So obviously I've got loads of questions for you, but I want to start with, can you tell me a little bit about how you and why you started martial arts?
Yeah, man. So I started probably the same as you, where like MMA was like the Wild West days, where there was NSAC, semi-pro, pro with no knees and stuff like that. And I started in Grimsby, and the gym I started at was like, it was a bit of a mad place. So we was like 13, 14, and there was a group of us the same age, but we'd train with the guys, like the men. We'd train and like sparring 4-ounce gloves and that with like the doorman and the bouncers. It was a bit mad, but something like that just captured us, and pretty much from like the first week that I was there, I just decided that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do athletics before, but like 1 week into fighting, I was just like, yeah, this is me.
No, interesting.
Yeah,
the wild days, the good old days.
It was mad. It was just, yeah.
So, like, was there a specific reason why you did it though? Was it like, was there something that made you choose to do it, or was it a case of just, I wanted to try it, or?
Cliche thing of like needing to learn how to fight.
Okay.
And
yeah.
then it just and then it captivated us from there. But yeah, there was the guy who run the gym. There's a guy called David and Ali. They ran the gym, but they worked at the school. And then there was loads of fights going on at the school. And then he kind of came into an assembly and was like, if you boys think you can fight, come to a real place. And then a load of us went over, and then that was it. It was just spent all
from there.
Yeah, and just spent all that time there, you know, like every day. In between, even like lunchtimes and stuff, they built a little gym, and we'd always just go off there and just punch each other up. Or, like we'd have our dinner and then just go and have a punch up in the little loft. And
fair play, interesting.
Yeah.
So, give us like a quick run through of your martial arts journey so far. So obviously I've known you now for, how long have you been? 18 months maybe?
Yeah.
A year, 18 months.
Yeah.
How's your journey looked before that kind of?
Yeah. Started off in MMA actually when I was like 13, 14.
Oh, brilliant.
And had like a junior MMA fight, and then took some bad injuries, and then that led me to kickbox to work around those injuries, and then fell in love with striking. Started off competing as that real well as an amateur, built up a good amateur career, went like 19 fights, 18-1 or something, and then started fighting in amateur world championships, started to reinforce that I can do this as a career. Then yeah, took it on to pro, started fighting for professional titles in like my debut. And then that kind of catapulted really quick, and it threw me to like big stages. Like I fought for Glory Kickboxing 5 fights in or something. And then the world titles, and then traveling around the world and fighting and stuff. But that was like the real outline of it. It just, took over and then catapulted really quick, and you were just on these big stages. Like you blinked and you're just like at the NEC and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how it ran through kickboxing, and then always had it in my head that I wanted to come back to MMA.
Yeah.
And then got invited down here, and the first week here I was like, yeah, this is me, and I just moved here, and that's it.
Oh, brilliant. So you started when you was 13? Is that what you did? Yeah. And how old are you now? 28?
20-ish. 29.
29.
Yeah.
So okay, so what? Good 15 years.
Yeah.
You've been solely training MMA now for a year, 2 years. You've obviously trained kickboxing. You did MMA before.
Yeah.
What is it about Renegade Gym that grabbed you, and you knew within a week? You said, this was where I wanted to be.
The environment. So I've been lucky enough to like travel around the world to train. America, New York, Thailand, all over. But like here you get energies in gyms, innit? Especially when you go spar and stuff. Sometimes it's very hostile, and especially even in Southeast Asia, there's a lot of sparring sessions where people are just coming in just to prove themselves against people. There's friends on the side filming the sparring, and it's all just like, you're there as like an individual. And it's like I came here, and it was the same reason that I picked my last gym and the gym that I came from originally, where it was like, you almost have like a group of people all helping each other on the same mission, like a family almost, you know, like a proper team, not just a load of individuals in one room. And you kind of see that, and you saw everybody helping each other, and you just like, and in the sparring sessions, everybody helping each other, not just trying to mindlessly kick fuck out of each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, this is a cool spot, and yeah, I'm glad that I chose this place, you know.
No, it's good. It's good. I had a similar experience. I've been here since 2020, so 4 years. I was away with injury and stuff, and the team I was at before was brilliant, but there is something really grabbing about the gym and the energy. When you say the energy to somebody who doesn't know martial arts, they'd be like, what do you mean? But yeah, the energy in the gym is always good. It's very high level fighters and very competitive, but I agree totally with you. It sucked me straight in, and perhaps I wish I'd have come here a bit earlier, but your journey leads you to where you are now, and everything I've achieved is by where I've gone at what time, so I'm very happy here. So I want to move a little bit away from martial arts, and then obviously you have a very big following on social media. Is that something that you found's come natural to you, or have you had to like really work at that? Is it, or like was it a conscious decision to put the time and energy into social media because we know how that benefits you having a big profile, or did it happen naturally, organically? Let's just talk a little bit about that.
Kind of both. So when I started kickboxing and I started doing like the amateur world championships, I would like make vlogs then, and I'd put them on Facebook like 8 years ago, and they'd have like 4 likes, 10 views, and it'd just be my mum and dad commenting. And it was like, I remember
like me now.
Yeah,
no, joking.
But yeah, and I remember even then you would get pushback because I was still in Grimsby, like small town, and everyone's like, "It's this guy, who does he think he is?" kind of thing. And I was just like, I just enjoyed making it, and always had it in my head that when you watch like people who transcend and become like real big stars, you know that they have to understand there's 2 sides to the sport. There's the showman side and building the brand and the TV and whatever, and then there's the actual fighting. So early on I was like, I've got to understand how to gel these both together. So I've always enjoyed making them, even when, like I say, they'll get like 10 views or whatever. And then COVID came through, and there was a time where we had loads of time to do everything, and then I got into video editing, and I thought, if I can't do anything else, I'm going to see if I can push this social media stuff and see how big I can grow that. Started hammering that every day, and then became a habit of doing it every day, and the thing just grew, and started building it from there. But it was a conscious decision of being like, I've actually got to put time into this. I've got to get better in front of a camera. That was one thing. I looked at an interview the other day from like years ago when I was like 17 on TV, and I'm like, I was like stuttering and sweating. That's fine, bro, it's mad. And I'm just like, there was those, but there was one where I was on like a local TV show, and the guy was speaking to me, and I couldn't even make eye contact, and I was like, well, you want to be this thing that you can't even talk in front of the camera. So there was a conscious thing of being terrible at it and being like, nah, I can't keep doing this, and just same as everything, you know, repetition and just putting time and energy into it.
Yeah, practice, like, just exactly like martial arts, practice makes perfect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you know, you talk about that. I remember instances filming interviews after some of my amateur fights, and the same, stuttering, like, or just won my fight, overly excited, thinking this guy must think I'm crazy. It comes with practice, doesn't it? And it's great to see, you know, it's great to know that you've had to work at it. I've always found it difficult, that side of things. The training, the killing myself, putting the hours on the mat, I've always found that easy. No matter how hard it is, but I found the other side of it hard of it, and better late than never, you say. I'm trying now, but I enjoy it. I do enjoy it, and to be honest, this is really easy because I love people's stories, and I love talking about martial arts and fighting. So I think I'm going to find this easy. So another thing I wanted to ask, a little bit off subject. You kind of have a motto or like a mantra of 365, and we all, you know, we have a joke and a laugh about it. But you know, anybody who follows you or knows you personally can see that you're very dedicated to your craft and your business and this life. But for the camera, is there a day where you don't feel like 365 and you do switch off, or is it a case of you recognise if and when you feel like that, but you still put yourself through the mill?
Yeah, there's definitely days where I do not want to do anything. Do you know what I mean? But I still, that's like that internal little fight that I have, and I like it when that comes, because I can never open that door. Do you know what I mean? Like the second that I open the door and be like, oh nah, don't worry. I know every time that I meet it, there's a door open where I can just be like, I don't want to be here, I can leave. So that's like my thing, is that I never want that door to open. But like the 365 thing is less hammering yourself every day and like redlining it, and more so just like 1% every day getting better at something. So it could be that you are fucked and you had a mad training week, and then that day is like sauna, ice bath, read, study fights or whatever, and then that's like still like your 1%, you know what I mean? It's not just like air dime and fucking 20-mile runs and stuff. It's just like small increments, and then that compounding interest over time, and then growing from there. So it's like every day I have to do something, and I don't know, it's got to a point where it's like obsessive now. I feel like I can't even chill, but even if it's an hour in the morning and it's, I don't know, like I say, like studying or reading or getting out and doing some sort of work, I know that over time is going to put me in such a better position than me just kind of like not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
That's kind of the thing behind it, you know.
Yeah, the meaning behind the mantra. I like it, and ultimately, if your body's wrote off and you're in mid camp and you're deciding to have a day of rest, that is adding to the 365, because that day of rest is going to make you better tomorrow.
100%.
So it's a day of rest eating pizza, cake, and drinking beer and doing drugs. That ain't 365.
Nah.
You need to change the mantra to 364 there. But that's good. That's interesting. While we're on the subject of food, actually, some of the stuff you post on food and diet is very interesting. Like I don't think you're full carnivore diet, I wouldn't say. Nah. Would you agree? But you eat a lot of meats, a lot of veg. You do have carbohydrate and stuff. But first things first, you'll go to, let's say, bad meal or unhealthy treat. Have you got one? Or with 365,
I used to, yeah. And it's, I used to, after fights, it would be burger places, cheesecake, and milkshakes.
Okay.
That was like my thing. And then I got to a position where I couldn't eat like that anymore, and that's what's like forced me into a position where I've got to eat well. And since the years of cutting all that food out, I genuinely don't have a pull to any shit foods now. It like almost makes me think like I don't want to get the feeling of what I'd have when I'd like.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, no, I just don't. It don't pull me to it anymore. So now it genuinely is like lamb steak, vegetables, like sweet potato, like that to me is like it's banging now, you know, and like a fruit thing. And it sounds a bit like, oh, would you not just enjoy like a fat, like juicy burger or something? And I'm like, I did, but like now I genuinely enjoy that more, food. You know. But yeah, like those small little bits is like you said, when you say about training, it's easy to come in and train every day, train hard every day, push yourself. That's easy. The hard bits are what you're doing with your diet when no one's watching, looking after your recovery, going sauna, ice bath and all that stuff. Like the stuff where it's easy to just like, no one's here, it doesn't really matter. I think they're the little bits that like help you propel into like the next bit, you know, and you're doing everything that, when you're making the walk or you're behind the scenes before you walk, you're like, have I done everything that I need to do? If the answer is genuinely yes, then the nerves are kind of like, I've done everything. I can just let be what's.
Well, you're giving yourself the best chance, respectively, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think it was Tyson. He would feel guilty about it. He wouldn't eat a burger 8 weeks out because it would play on his mind 8 weeks later in the fight. And so I totally get that. I respect that.
Yeah.
Okay, just to wrap it up then. I'm a 16-year-old kid. I've trained martial arts for 8 years, and I've decided I want to pursue the career and the path of a fighter, MMA fighter. Rather than advice on training, how would you advise that young kid with the side of the business, the brand, and the social media presence? What kind of 3 tips would you give that? I think person.
Yeah, initially, when you first come into fighting, everyone, even as like a 16, 18-year-old, they're all like, I need to do this full time and quit everything else. And then they'll think they don't want to work, they don't want to study or anything. Like realistically, We train max 5-6 hours in a day, or sometimes less. But you can build businesses on the side. You can study. Like somehow I got a degree while I was fighting. I was also working, and now I'm still running businesses but training. There's time in the day. It almost gets to the point where you think like, oh yeah, this is me full time. But you've got like so many hours in the day to build off this, and that's the kind of stuff that's gonna keep this dream alive almost, you know.
So like essentially being efficient with your time, productive with your time, mapping it out.
Yeah, you can still be all in and study on the side. You can still be all in and build a business. You can still be all in and earn means to be able to supplement your training, you know, rather than being like, this is it and nothing else. It's like, yeah, you can do that, but you can still fucking work and build a business on the outside, and that's gonna help. And the thing, like, you might find passions through all that. Like, there was a point where, because this is what I was saying, I was doing the same thing where I was like, I'm just a professional fighter and that's it. And then I got to the point where I was sick of being skinned. And like, you know, no money, and I thought, all right, I'm gonna start businesses. And then I found a passion for like business and understanding the psychology of business and all the academics that goes to it. And now that's like 50-50 of my passion. So I love developing and scaling like business stuff, but then I also still love training. Yeah. So don't be afraid to like move around and do things that are gonna help propel you forward outside of training. That's still gonna help. You know, you don't have to be like a recluse to this. You can branch out into other things as well. You know, because otherwise you kind of get captivated in it. Like there was times where I was living in the gym because I was like, this is all I want to do. Yeah. I probably could have just like started a business or like, and not necessarily that's maybe a big thing, but like worked a job outside and afforded a flat around the side, so I could have just like been warm and shit like that, you know. No,
I totally agree. And one thing I've noticed is it took me till I got to my 30s before I realised it, that like if you sometimes training less is more. If you're in the gym 9 hours a day doing all the classes, eventually you're going to burn out. You can kind of get away with it a little bit when you're younger. So I had to make that adaptation when I was in my 30s. But I found that I excelled quicker from say 31, 32 to the age I am now, a bit older, than I did throughout my whole of my 20s. And it's just been more productive with my training and like being present at my training. So I'm here now, we're about to wrestle at 11 o'clock, 11 till 1, I'm just locked in and I'm wrestling. And then you come away from it, you know, people then, I see some of the younger fighters staying here, still training, doing SSC after it, and then watching YouTube videos and drilling, and it's like, I think just like going back to what you said on the other side of things with social media and the business, just being like efficient with your time, 100%. Productive, and like scheduling it and present.
Yeah. So focus practice is going to be so much more beneficial than just random, sporadic, and just spending like you have 5 hours to do a task. You will still do the task just across that set time. Yeah. If you give yourself 30 minutes, you can probably do the same thing, just because of how focused you can be in. And you apply that to training and everything. It's like you say, it's the same thing. You come in for an hour and you're present and you're on that, and this is what we're doing for the whole hour, and you're focused in this drill, you're thinking through it. Whereas you say, you get some people come in and they're just kind of like, they're here for 3 hours, but they've not actually been here. You know, they're just kind of going through the motions, doing things for the sake of it, and not really like working through the position. But they're like, oh, I've done 3 hours today. I'm like, have you? Like sometimes you got to like be here like intense for an hour, and that's gonna be so much better.
Yeah, I agree. Last question actually, to wrap it up, I've just remembered. Yeah. You got an announcement coming out this week. So how do you feel about signing with PFL Europe, and what are your goals within the company over the next, say, 2 years, if that's the length of your contract?
Yeah. So it's been a while since I've been back on the world stage, and I know that's where I belong, but I needed to come back and do a lot of work transitioning into MMA. Like you see a lot of strikers come through and they're still very raw. I wanted to be comfortable, not even be comfortable, I wanted to excel in every area before I went forward into it. And now as I'm going forward, I feel very complete and ready for the challenge, and I'm ready to go. And my goals are to fucking kick the door down and be like a real big name in the organisation and in the MMA world. I don't just want to be another piece on the side. Yeah, I want to make my stamp and start selling out arenas and
That's
be the
awkward.
big name, you know. Kick the door down and show them the work that we've been doing here, you know.
That's it, brilliant, mate. Well, congratulations on that, and
Appreciate
I'll help you in any way I can to get there,
thanks for
mate.
that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, brother.
Respect. Is that all right? The Tim Wild podcast. I love it.
Yeah, good,
I
man.
enjoyed that, you know.
Yeah.